Good night. It's Cafeteria Labrishers with Mona in the Fatigable Heights. I just want to come to do a small piece on Buju again. I just finished watching his Drink Champs interview with Nori and DJ Envy. I think that's his name. And there are clips going around. I posted clips on TikTok. I'm sorry, not TikTok, on Twitter about his stance on the Maroons, and I got that from Chief Curry on Instagram's page, Chief Richard Curry, the chief of the Maroons in Jamaica right now. And a clip has been making the rounds on Twitter about what Buju stated about Afrobeats on the Drinks Champs interview, and I finally decided to sit down and watch the interview in its entirety. It took me 2 days because you already know I'm doing a million things at once. And so everything in its time and place and purpose. I did want to review the interview because it ties into my last video about Buju, where I reviewed his performance on his Long Walk to Freedom tour that I went to see, and also talked about his calling and his time and what needed to be seen and done. And I feel like what I saw made me happy, made me smile. He talked about a plethora of things, and I just wanted to come and talk about it and give a little recap and just review what that interview was like for me. This is my first time watching an entire Drinks Champs interview, so I've never watched one in its entirety before, and the only one that I really was interested in was the Kanye West one. Yay, not Kanye. And in all actuality, I haven't really watched it because I think they had pulled it for some when they said that he was on a rant and that he was against a certain demographic of people that would not be named, and they blacklisted him. Yay, not Kanye. But that's a story for another day, because I still don't think that Ye that we have today is Kanye. However, I'm not going to talk about that now. I'm just saying that the only interest I've had in Drinks Champs is Ye and Buju Banton. Buju, in his interview, talked about a couple of things that I want to go ahead and amplify and just talk about his interview. In his interview, he was very knowledgeable, he was very informative, he was very witty, he was sharp, he comes across as intelligent, as he has always done. I've watched quite a few interviews with Buju. When he went to prison, I went back to the onstage interviews. I went back and I looked at a number of interviews because there was a moment that I wanted to know like what really happened and why these things occurred. And so I needed to hear his voice, and I needed to listen to his thoughts and know what he was thinking in and around the times before he was arrested. I knew that he was very prolific. I know that he is very versatile, and that his argument and his thoughts are very radical, sort of like myself. And I also, when I came away from that research, and I wasn't blogging at the time, doing videos or YouTube, because I've only been doing this since like 2020, I believe 2021. And I just I've just been gathering knowledge and information about different things, and now I am more in a place, in a position to talk about things that I've seen, what I feel about them, and how I want to go forward and speak about some of those things. One of the things that he touched on was Haiti. And I really wanted to talk about that because for me, Haiti was the first nation I've always said, to receive their independence from the colonizer, right? And the revolution occurred because of their being adamant in fighting for freedom, and also because of their spiritual tenets that they used in and along with the revolution to win. Okay, this is also something, it's a line that is drawn um, in parallel to what happened in Jamaica, in the revolution in Jamaica with the Maroons as well. Because one of our greatest Maroon leaders was Nanny, and they did say that Nanny used quite a lot of her spiritual knowledge and intuition in order to fight and win that war as well. I am still doing my research on the Maroons, and I wish somebody would reach out to me and give me some more information. I am reading the book, the Land of Look Behind. I'm almost done. You know, I'm also reading the spiritual guide to intimacy. I think that's the name of it. The Spirit of Intimacy. And I'm also reading, my daughter bought me this book. She went to Barnes and Noble with her friend, and she bought me this book, Southern African Folk Tales. I have like a lot of African books. I have, someone gifted me, I'm gonna share it with you on my next video, a whole series of books. My friend, he worked for Dana Karen, and they were getting rid of certain items, and I don't know if he was given the books or what, but he called me to come see him, and I went, and he gifted me these books, and I'm also going to share them with you as well, so that I can, like my necklace, it's African bees. Anyway, so I did want to talk about this. So with Haiti, right? Especially with the things that are going on in the news right now about this lady in Haiti. Her name is, I think, Dana Jackson. I just want to touch on it real quickly. Yeah, her name is Dana Jackson, and that's a woman from the U.S. She's from North Carolina. They said that she joined a group, allegedly. Just a disclaimer right here. Anything that I say on Coffee and or Tea or Labrish about myself, I believe is 100% truth and fact. Anything that I talk about others or anybody else is can be considered as conjecture, as also can be considered what I've seen or what I've pulled from the internet. I do have sources and other places and things that my readers and my subscribers share with me. Those things are not the views of Coffee, Tea, or Labrish unless I tell you I definitely believe this or I definitely believe that. When it comes to reviews about people and the things that I say about them, it is generally what I've read, what I've gained in knowledge and information, and I might believe some of the things that I say, and I might not. So this woman, Dana Jackson, apparently she's from North Carolina. She joined a group called Sayaset on that they said is a Haitian voodoo group, and they said that she went to Haiti on a voodoo retreat, and that she was there for quite some time. She was supposed to be getting, I guess, initiated, and she actually died, and her son was in communication with her, and then he didn't hear from her anymore, and then he reached out to the people that she was there with, and they don't have an answer or an explanation for what happened to her. And it became a big thing in the social media. It's on USA Today, New York Post, The Independent, The Times. Like, the story is very much being amplified. Someone sent it to me, one of my social media associates, and we were talking about it, and my response was, I'm not too familiar with it, but I do think that it's being amplified because it puts Haiti in a bad light, because it's talking about voodoo and somebody dying from wanting to be involved in voodoo and things like that. So I did want to go ahead and touch on that really quickly as well. I feel that, and then tie it into what Buju is saying. I feel that the Haitian as a people have been I do believe that the Haitians as a people have been um, vilified. I feel as if they have been persecuted because they did receive their independence as a black people um, before any other nation, and all the things that have been done to Haiti and the Haitians since then are to make them pay for, you know, coming up against the biggest European or colonizers and winning. And I feel that within media, entertainment, especially movies and so on, they have placed Haiti in a very bad light, and that nation has been looked down upon, degraded, belittled, berated by every other nation, even black nations, because of this voodoo story, right? And what that means to me is that their culture has been desecrated and put down because they were able to use those aspects of their culture to win this war, this revolution, and get independence. And they have been paying ever since. Who is the the Bible tells you about in Deuteronomy 28, it talks about the blessings and it talks about the curses. And I think I've spoken about this before in my spiritual corner about um, Deuteronomy 28, speaking about the curses if you do not follow what the commandments are from the Exodus to Deuteronomy. So Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, basically from Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Those first 5 books that they call the Torah, that they call the law. So there weren't 10 commandments, there were thousands of commandments. And after the commandments were given in those first 4 books, in those first 5 books, in Deuteronomy 28, it tells you what the blessings will be if you follow these thousands of commandments, and what the curses will be if you don't. And when I was maybe 20, 21, I used to go on this website called angelfire.com, and there was an article about Deuteronomy 28, and it spoke about, you know, being the people being a byword, the cousin among you rising up above you, stealing your position, and things like that. And a demographic of people being put down because of who they are and the things that they've done, and saying that these were curses and stuff. Those curses seem like the things that happened with the whole slavery idea. And I feel that is very apparent, especially when you see what has happened to the Haitian people. They have become a byword. They've become an astonishment to people. They're the most hated nation of black people. Black people hated across the world. They are the ones that are the most hated because of this voodoo, right? But in actuality, it is not the voodoo. It is the fact that they won this independence before any other nation. In actuality, the Maroons got their independence, I believe, before Haiti. I'm going to go ahead and double check that fact, but I do believe that's so. But they were not as known as this Haitian whole island, right? Buju talked about that in his Drink Champs interview, and he also spoke about how the Haitian people are going through this fight, and he says for them to continue fighting because we stand with them. And I agree with that. I do stand with the Haitian people. Even in the news the other day, they had this guy that took over Haiti. There's a whole story. I think I'm gonna do that story just after this. Just give me a little bit of story after story. But I do want to go ahead and go into that a little bit. It's not going to be a long one, but the governments of Haiti have been like systematically being torn down, taken down, and then new people are put into position. And then when those people seem like they're not like conforming to the colonizers' idea of what Haiti should be like, then it seems as if those people are like murdered, killed, I don't know, whatever. All different types of things are happening. Buju's message to the people of Haiti was to keep fighting because we stand with you. And I would like to amplify that because I do believe he's saying the same thing that I'm saying right now and what I've been saying for years. And I am happy to see him using his voice to speak out for people who are marginalized. Um, he also talked about the Afrobeats, which was the biggest thing that they were amplifying all over, trying to start this controversy, like this beef between reggae and Afrobeats. What Buju was saying is that the music is not a fighting adversity type of music, like he says that a lot of the music in the reggae is. And he says that, you know, people from the continent have said, you know, Jamaica, we remember when you talked about this and you talked about that in your music. Why aren't you guys doing it anymore? Why is it that we're talking about just like certain things that we see being brought out of Jamaica right now? It's very funny because I was looking into the whole Vybz Kartel thing recently when he signed with Joe what's Joe's name? Bogdanovich. Uh, right, Joe Bogdanovich. This is a European man from California who moved to Jamaica, and he started a record label. He took over, I think, Sumfest, and he signed Vybz Kartel since Vybz Kartel came out of jail. I refrained from doing anything about Vybz Kartel because I was a Kartel lover, like a fan of Kartel, Gaza. I was there. I was I do love Kartel, the person that I was first introduced to many years ago in the music. I did love him for his lyricists, and his lyrics and his talent as a lyricist. And I also was very, I admired him a lot. I admired his lyrics a lot because I don't listen to music for the beat. I listen to the lyrics. Like, the lyrics are what get me. Like, I sit and I listen, and I also studied. I studied Buju's lyrics. I studied Kartel's lyrics. I studied Bounty Killer's lyrics. I studied Masicka lyrics. Those artists I could definitely tell you that I love, and I know their songs like by heart. Spice is another artist that I love her music. I'm not a fan like out there, like, you know, but I do love this music and I do subscribe to it a lot, and I listen to it a lot, and, you know, I follow it. I don't have a message for Vybz Kartel. I don't really want to go into Vybz Kartel because I strongly believe that the person that we were introduced to as Vybz Kartel initially, for me personally, I've seen 3, maybe 4 or 5 different Vybz Kartels from the time that he was introduced to us until now. I've seen the Very Black Man, I've seen the Bleach Out Man, and I've seen the man that came out of prison. So the Very Black Man does not have the same features as the Bleach Out Man, and then the man that went in, apparently, allegedly, doesn't have the same features as the person who came out. So I'm thinking we're seeing Vybz Kartel 3.0, 4.0, something like that. I don't know what happened. I'm not here to really like go deeply into Vybz Kartel. Maybe one day I'll do something about him. Not too sure, but as somebody that loved his music and his lyrics and stuff like that through the times, I was like disappointed to see him being charged for, you know, the charges that he got and things like that. And I felt some type of way about it because, but then I knew that some of the things were real, and that, you know, I was disappointed for him to be charged for those things. But then I remember when he got the tattoo, and the tattoo said devil. And I remember when he came and he told us that he was like, I didn't really come to talk about a lot of these things, and was not my intention, and I don't know why I'm going all over the place right now, but I just let the spirit lead me. When he came and he did the song and he said, he's dealing with 33 and a third degrees of Freemasonry. Like, to be honest with you, I was here in America maybe 20 years ago, and I was in Rochester, New York, and I took a bus. And the bus carried me away. Like, where I was going, I don't know. The bus went to the last stop, and I had to ride the bus back to my stop. And the bus driver stopped, and it was just me and him alone on the bus. And he had on a Masonic ring with a Masonic symbol, which at the time, it would have been, actually, it was in 98 or 99. And I remember, because I hadn't left New York as yet, and I didn't live in Florida, and moved to Florida in 99. But the driver and I were on the bus together. I had already been studying things about the Freemasons, and this Illuminati and things like that. So I started studying religion initially, because I've always studied religion as a young person. Even in Jamaica, like, my mom didn't go to church, but she would send me because I wanted to go. And the church was like 3 doors away from my house, the Anglican church. And I actually got really involved in the church. I used to go to Sunday school. I was a little girl, but I used to go to Sunday school every Sunday. I got certificates for always being in attendance. I was on the choir. I love God, and I always was searching for him. When I went to boarding school in Westwood, I joined the Methodist group, because we had different groups in the school. So some would go to the Baptist, some go to Methodist, some go to Anglican. I like the Methodist church because it ended early, and the Baptist church would last like 2 hours for the session. But each of the churches, the students of Westwood would actually take part in the church services. With the Methodist group, we had more autonomy, and we would actually plan the Bible lesson. We would plan the reading, and we would bring the message and all of these things. So I joined the Methodist group, and I was like really big in the church aspect with the Methodist group as a student at Westwood High School. And so this is something that has always been a pulling and a calling on my life, the knowledge of God. So when I came to America and I became a 5%er, which my daughter who passed away, her father was a 5%er. We were young. He had went to like juvenile, and he met people in there that introduced him to the 5% nation, and he came out, and we'd be together all the time, and he would use certain terminology to me, and I was interested, and I was like, what is this? And he started teaching me about it, and he enlightened me, and gave me an attribute, which was Queen Justice Refined Earth. Justice because I serve penalties and rewards, and that definitely fits me. Penalties for bad behavior and rewards for good behavior for the people who enter my life. And justice because I do fight for, like, usually I'm a person who will fight for people. I'm an advocate. Like, that's my inner being. In addition to that, so he enlightened me, gave me my attribute of Queen Justice Refined Earth as a 5%er. We had a history teacher that was a 5%er as well. And we used to have rallies like the fourth Sunday of every month, where we would get together and meet, and we would have a rally, and we would talk about all types of things. And my teacher, Mr. Bisner, he would come with like handouts about different types of things that were like different types of knowledge that he wanted to share with us. And he was the first person to share with me the knowledge of the Freemasons through the 5% group as my teacher. And I was no longer in school. So once my third eye was open to that information, I then began to research that information by myself. And then I also decided to research religion, because I wanted to know which religion was correct. Like, where is God? Like, what is it, right? So I did research a little bit about, voodoo, Ifa, Buddhism, Hinduism, um, Dominican 21 divisions, Santeria, like every kind of religion. I found the parallels. I found the information of how the indigenous from Africa or wherever, because there's such a big thing about we not being Africans. I don't even understand it, because for me, I identify as an African. But I'm being told, and somebody come to me on Twitter the other day and shared information with me that we are not from Africa. When I looked into it, like they're saying like we were from the Americas, like the indigenous, the Tainos and the Caribs and the Arawaks were actually from not Africa but different places, and then there were slaves. I don't know. I don't know. I'm still, that's something else I gotta go research, because I don't understand it and I gotta figure it out. However, so as I've always been a seeker, right? So what happened was, when he came out and said so the bus driver, bringing it back, was wearing a ring with a Masonic symbol on it. And as I had just been researching and learning about this information, I asked him about it, and I was like, oh, are you a Mason? And he was like, yes. And I was like, can you tell me about it? He said, no. I said, okay. So we started to talk, and we were talking, and we got to talking, and because if you're a Mason, like, you cannot talk about what goes on in the lodge, because Masons allegedly make like oaths when they are joining the organization, that they will not reveal the secrets of the organization, or they will have their bodies placed on a high hill and have vultures come and eat their inward parts, their marrow, their whatever. So there are oaths that they take. And the bus driver did tell me, I said, I'm from Jamaica. We started talking, and he said, oh, I went to Jamaica to get my 33rd degree or something of that nature. And I was like, huh? And he was like, yeah, that's where he went to get his 33rd degree, at the lodge, because they do have lodges in Jamaica. And I was so very surprised. I couldn't even believe that. And this was in 98. So Freemasonry does exist. It exists in Jamaica as well. They do have lodges, and it's not hard to get the information and to obtain the knowledge. So when I seen him put the devil tattoo on his hand, this is Vybz Kartel, and when I seen him come out and say that he's studying 33 and a third degrees of Freemasonry, I know that the lodge is there. I know that it is very possible. I'm like, why would he put this in the music? I was like, I didn't believe, like, I felt like he was just saying this. Like, a lot of artists seem to like play into the agenda of make it even, not at that time, but even more now, like, oh, are they, Illuminati, are they this, are they that, and they capitalize off of it, and their music videos seem to promote it, and so on and so forth. But I thought at the time it was just like clout chasing, and kind of like as a way to kind of like generate interest and have people like going into their material even more. So I didn't know what to believe with Kartel's part. But then when the accusations came and certain things that I saw, I was like, wow, I felt some type of way, but I still continued to like him and his music, and, continue to listen, and, love what he was putting up right up until the time. But like, I don't know, like, the more spiritual that I became, and the more I began to embrace the spirit and knowledge of self, I started to not love it anymore. And then I just kind of like stopped listening to like certain music, and his music went that way for me. So just getting that part out. So back to Buju. Buju is saying that the Afrobeats is not a music that is uplifting the people in the struggle. Like, and I do understand what he's saying. I do feel like there is some music, because like for me now, I listen to more Afrobeats than reggae, and the reason is because I don't have in the reggae like the music is not being released like one time before. So, um, so with that, with the Afrobeats, I do listen to like, even in my grief, like not music that makes me think about freedom fighters and things like that and overcoming those struggles and stuff, but just in my grief, I don't want to listen to Skang. I don't want to listen to. I like Valiant, but what is he giving me? I don't. I like Dexter Daps, but like, what is it giving me? Like, there's a time and a place for everything. In my grief, in uplifting myself and rising out of certain emotions that I have, I've been listening to more Afrobeats. And I feel like people draw more to Afrobeats because it doesn't have the violence that the reggae music and dancehall music really seems to have right now. And the reggae music, like Buju's music, outside of dancehall and like the conscious lyrics are not being promoted as one time before. And this is what I wanted to talk about, why I brought in Vybz Kartel. The guy Joe Bogdanovich, he went to Jamaica. He said he wanted to save reggae and all these things, and you know, he got labels and all these things and stuff like that. And then like he started working with Sumfest. This is all allegedly. And I saw where the people are saying that the music, the culture music, the conscious music of Jamaicans is not being promoted like one time before. And yes, you do have the Capletons, and you do have Capleton has a show, Barris Hammond has a show, you know, Bounty have a show. Like they all have these different types of big festival shows and so on. But the artists that are being promoted are not the artists that are speaking to the heart of the people. It's speaking to the lower consciousness of the people. It's lower frequency music. It is not high vibrational music. And so it's not holding me. If I want to dance, wind up myself and so on, I could go listen to Valiant, I could listen to Skeng. But like when I listen to some of the music and, you know, them telling people to pop mollies and, you know, like, you know, it's like, I don't know, because I'm older, I guess the lens that I'm looking at the music is still from where I was. And then me being spiritual, like I definitely have to have something that is going to speak to my spirit. And my spirit is not going to take every kind of music. So I can't abide with it like before. That's one of the changes that has really happened to me. It's even before I lost my daughter. Like I don't know what the music is nowadays. I don't know the songs. I used to know all the songs that, you know, I used to party. I'd be in the clubs. Like I know what was going on. In the last 3 to 4 years, I've put down dance hall. I've put down partying and clubbing, and I'll go to shows, but I'm not really doing the club like how I used to. And I have changed, and I think that it's a positive change. And I think that with that positive change is a quest and a desire for higher frequency. So instead of listening to like reggae music, I'll listen to 440 megahertz like music. I listen to higher megahertz music to lift my frequency and to be able to maintain my vibration, because my vibration is not on the low frequency right now. And I think it has made me a better person because I'm listening to higher frequency, I'm vibrating higher, so I'm definitely like attracting higher. So that's painful for me, but Buju also touches on that. He talks about the music that is now becoming music is supposed to last forever. He talks about, and he says that if music is supposed to last forever, how come you get tired of a song after 2 months? And the Drink Champs hosts were saying that the music is becoming disposable. And he said the music isn't disposable, it is the artists that are becoming disposable. He also talks about what he saw, as I'm saying, maybe 22 years, 23, 24 years ago, where there was a killing in the positivity of the music. And when we had the KRS-Ones and we had the Leaders of the New School and we had the digital planets and we had the Q-tips and the Commons and the, you know, these neo soul and people who were supposed to be these like conscious rappers and these woke rappers and stuff, and this woke idea changed and it became something else. And so now we have like drill and we have like just murder, kill, 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 and all these things. Um, so I understand what he's saying about the music as far as the Afrobeats. I don't think he's coming down on Afrobeats. He's looking for the musicians to bring something that brings higher frequency, that can have people like coming out of adversity, fighting your challenges, overcoming your obstacles, and winning at higher levels. Um, so I respect all of the things that I am talking about that he spoke about. He spoke about Kenya and the things that the Kenyans are going through, and that they're fighting really hard right now. A lot of the African continent, like the different things that are happening there, and how they need, people to continue to uplift them and to push them to keep going and keep fighting. He also talked about the Maroons, right? So this is a clip that I posted on Twitter, and he talks about the trials of the Maroon people, and that he himself is a Maroon, and that he's from a Maroon lineage, and his name Buju is also a Maroon name, and he talks a little bit about his history. I was really impressed because the way that he spoke about politics. He doesn't want to be a politician. I remember in my video I said I don't think he's gonna be in politics, but I do think that he needs to come out and be an advocate, start talking, be an activist, like whatever his duty is, he knows it. So he knows that he has to step into the role of whatever role he is supposed to be in, and seeing him really step into that role, this is how I feel, has really made me smile. It has brought a smile to my face. The ancestors are smiling, and I think that we are in a happy place at this time. He spoke about, mankind trying to crush his credibility, because if you crush the credibility of someone, then you are destroying that person. They were not able to do that because he does have a calling on his life. I'm not saying a calling to go to church. I don't know what his calling is, but he does have that calling, and he knows, right? He talks about hearing spirit a number of times, and so I resonate with that, because I understand when spirit tells you something. I understand when spirit speaks to you, your inner man, the voice inside is spirit. So you have to be able to resonate with spirit. You have to be able to hear spirit. And if you're listening to certain frequencies, or you're vibrating on certain frequencies, spirit is going to, it's not going to come across as clear as it would or it could, based upon where you are. So you have to be the one to try to rise up and get to that place where spirit can definitely communicate with you, and that you can know that you're communicating with the voice of God. Knowing the voice of God, separating the voice of God from every other voice that you're hearing, that's something that you have to train yourself to do. He also I realized that he doesn't drink. He was drinking water, and I'm really glad, because I'm like, yeah, when I think about the ditties and the parties and the different things that they put in the alcohol and things like that, I'm glad that he's not a drinker. Hopefully he doesn't drink at all, and that no one can really like infiltrate him or give him anything. Nothing inside of his body that will be able to control him or put him outside of his right mind or his right mindset or chemical imbalance. So that was good to see. He spoke about 50, Busta, DMX, Khaled, and Varys, and he gave respect to all of those people. They had a drinking game where they wanted him to like put artists against like this artist or that artist, and he did play the game, but he basically gave respect to each and every one of the persons that they asked him about. And then he also said, like, plain and straight, like, I hope you're not doing this to pit people against each other, because it wouldn't work, because I come to respect people regardless of what it is. I don't have anything negative to say about anybody, because I am going to deal with people as I would want them to deal with me, regardless of where they are, who they are, or what's going on. And I really respected that. He also spoke about the reggaeton and the fact that reggaeton is another spin-off of reggae that doesn't give respect to reggae, and that the people don't really do like collaborations with reggae artists, and that they use the material, and that there are a lot of lawsuits out there against a lot of reggaeton artists right now for like piracy and things like that. So those information were good to see. He also talked about something that was very interesting for me, because when they brought up politics and like, which political party do you, you know, advocate for, or do you believe? He basically said that he doesn't deal with politics. He doesn't believe in no type of, that's not his thing. And he also said that, as we have learned, the people think that politicians, like presidents and prime ministers and people like that, like they have power. But he says that, you know, they are like leaders of countries, and countries are corporations, and there are people behind the CEO of the corporation. There are higher people that you always have to answer to. And he did go into that quite a bit, to say, well, even the prime minister of, you know, different countries, they have to answer to higher powers. And, you know, sometimes these powers have them quaking in their boots, and there's really nothing that they can do. So it's very interesting to see. In addition to that, the DJ Envy, I believe his name is, he kept coming out with the Buju records. He is a Buju fan like myself, but he actually has like real records. He has like Buju like merch that nobody has. Like, he has his things on deck, right? So he had this one CD about Operation Willie, and it brought back memories for Buju, because Buju was saying that, remember he did the song that said, "Rude boy, don't be silly. Rubber span your willy. Ears are corona, you don't want catch it. Ragamuffin, don't be silly. Rubber pan your willy. Ears are corona, you don't want catch it." So he said when he wrote that song, and that record was a part of something that was happening in Jamaica, where there were a lot of children being born with AIDS, and the AIDS epidemic was really, really like prevalent at the time. And these kids were being born with AIDS, and they were being abandoned. And he said that they started a foundation called like Operation Willie to help these babies. The babies didn't have a long lifespan, and that they would like make sure that they had everything that they needed. And he said that they actually like, they actually had everything that they needed. And in addition to that, they he said he had to put money out of his pocket to help to fund, you know, this foundation that he started. But that was a big thing, and that was a big thing for me, because I didn't even know that he was doing that kind of advocacy at the time. So I also give props to him for that. I would love to know. See, that's the thing about Buju. Buju is a humble man, right? So even when he was doing these things, nobody knew, right? Like, it wasn't big talked about. Like, he's not on TV like showing you him handing out things to people and stuff like that. He's just not that type of person. But the work was being done. As I said, he was appointed and anointed for the position that he is in, and for the work that he has to do. And I'm glad to find out of what he's actually been doing. I'm glad to hear his voice. I'm glad to hear his thoughts. I'm glad to, like, you could literally like write a book on Buju's thoughts of what he's saying and things like that. I hope he writes a book soon. Hopefully he'll be able to do that. That's the next thing that I see and feel that would be like really beneficial for him and beneficial for the people to hear, you know, his life story, and to hear him tell it, because he's a great storyteller. He tells a story in the music, but if he sits down and has an interview, he tells a story so well. He is so entertaining in every way. It's not just the music, and that's something that I really respect and want to amplify. He talked about the music. When the guy brought out the record, he talked about, you know, there were times when people would have their music on records, then they became CDs, and now the music is in the clouds. People were making, you know, maybe $7, $8, $9, $10, whatever, on the records that were being sold, but now they're making pennies, and there's a theft of intellectual property that nobody's really speaking out about. So that's one of the things he's also amplifying. He talked about Ziggy, Stephen, and Damian Marley. Ziggy was his best friend, and when Ziggy brought Stephen around, he became even closer to Stephen, and then him and Stephen were like instrumental in certain things when it came to Damian doing the music, and that he feels that Damian is Bob Marley in the flesh in this time, but people just don't see it, or they don't know it. So that was interesting, and I am gonna go ahead and take a closer look at Damian Marley, because I do think that there are certain things about him that maybe I missed and maybe need to take a deeper look at. He talked about Khaled, right? So he talked about when he first met Khaled, what Khaled did, how Khaled came to Jamaica, how Khaled did in the music, and he says that he respects Khaled very much, not for who people say he is, and Khaled was not, when he first met him, was never in it really for the music. He says that he respects him and loves him not for who people say he is, but for the man that he truly is, and that's a good friend of his. And Khaled did advocate for Buju quite a lot. Like, he came to Jamaica, he visited, he did what he had to do, he had interviews, he really spoke out for Buju, right? So even me, I was a little bit like, Khaled is a culture vulture. Like, I don't know. Like, I know he's been doing like dub plates and doing music and, you know, DJing, you know, in and around the Jamaican community for quite a while. But I needed to hear somebody say it, because the difference between Buju's thoughts and SZA's thoughts about Khaled is very interesting to note. So I kind of want to really like take a deeper look, because even myself was putting Khaled in a bad light. So I have to redress, and then I have to go ahead and take a look at my feelings and my emotions and what is really fact, and try to take a look at that, right? If he had a do-over, he would have like maybe had a station for reggae music in America a long time ago that would be more instrumental in pushing the music. And that also is something that I find very interesting. Wow. So that's something that I really want to know more about as well. He also talked about, they asked him like how he came out looking so good, and how did he like keep himself up, and how come he didn't fall, and how come he didn't break from, you know, the bad things that happened to him. And he said like, you have to learn forgiveness. He says that, you know, you have to be able to project yourself out of bad circumstances into a good light. And he says that if you allow people that are your enemies, your ops or whatever, to allow you to live in a negative space, then they would have won. People can't understand why you would forgive them, but you need to forgive and let God do the work. And, you know, I totally agree with that, because when I was kind of like looking at my enemies, trying to like be angry and all this stuff, I was in a bad space. When I decided to leave my enemies alone, let them do whatever they're doing, like I really don't care, like I'm in a better space for myself. I really don't allow anything to take me to a place of negativity anymore as much as before. In addition to that, I just feel like the more spiritual I get is the more I'm able to bypass certain things and not worry. And if I feel like I'm getting into an argument or somebody want to argue with me, like I literally I'm like, you want to argue? I don't. Like, and I used to love to argue because I was in a negative space, but you know, my spirituality has pushed me into light and higher frequency, so I'm not in that space anymore, and I really thank God for that. He also talked about Stevie Wonder. If he was to do a record with anybody to like change the world, he would love to do something with Stevie Wonder. And talk about thinking that Stevie Wonder could see, which a lot of people have said that, and I do think there's some truth to it. The Jinx Champ interview ended with him talking about his son, and like he said, the spirit came to him and told him to go to the beach, and he was being barred from the beach, and then he actually went, and then he went, and the song came to him, I Love You Lord. And you know, he went on stage, he felt sad, he was crying, and when he came off stage and came back to Jamaica, he found out that his son has passed away. It brought it home for me because, you know, I lost my daughter, and the grieving and the state that it puts you in is something that, you know, it's like indescribable. Losing your young child, you don't think you're gonna lose your child, you think you're gonna, you know, they're gonna outlive you, and you know, like the loss and the pain and the sorrow, but being able to smile and laugh and keep going is a gift unto them. Because like I know for me, with people telling me like, your daughter is sad because you are sad, you know, she wants you to live, like I really take that to heart, and I'm glad Buju is living. I'm very excited about what Buju is doing. His tour that is coming up, which is the Overcomer tour, coming to a city near you. just go out and get your tickets and really go see Buju, because it is an experience that is not the same for anybody that goes to any of Buju's concerts. Spin coffee to your Labrishers, Mona in the